Hello, my friends with JH Stampin' Studio. I am here recording a video that I wanted to share with you today. So I am going to be doing the kissing technique. Something I recently made a card with, hadn't really done it in a long time. So it was a good refresher for me on how this works and how great it can make your images look. So we're going to use a couple of different stamp sets. First of all, we're going to say use the Perfectly Plaid. Oh gosh, this is one of my favorite stamp sets. I have used and abused this set so many times because it also comes with a really, really nice pine tree punch right here on page 150 in the catalog. It's no longer in the bundle pricing, but the two go together so well for any sort of holiday card. This is a really go-to set. However, you can incorporate any number of just wintry looking cards as opposed to holiday. The other items I'll be using are from the, I guess what I call the holiday mini catalog. And that is this beautiful, peaceful prints 12 by 12 specialty paper. Just an absolutely gorgeous set. In fact, I just made a card today that I shared on my blog today. This is using the Designer Series Spotlight technique. And this image, I did have a little trouble, and I thought, oh, this technique works perfect for this type of paper because it has such a beautiful image on it. But the paper we're going to work with today, or I should say the pattern, is this one. It's got lots of fun snowflakes. That gray look is just so elegant. On the back is a plaid, and or like a checked. And I will say I've made a few cards with this as well. It's really hard to decide which side to use. I hate it when that happens, but that's a lot of our Designer Series paper. So the other item, oh, that's right, I'm using a sentiment from the Sparkle of Season bundle, the stamp set actually. And so that's this Merry Christmas. This is just a classic print. I love that it's thin but yet long. Works really well as sentiments across your card, and I have used it over and over again already this season. So let's get going on that. I'm going to show you a little bit of my card first. Here's the card. Look how lovely it turned out. Again, with the gray, I decided to go with the gray and red. Obviously a little non-traditional, but yet, I mean, it looks beautiful. Very Merry Christmas. And I love using white paper cardstock for Christmas cards in particular, because then I don't have to add a layer in the middle. So that's what we're going to start with. I guess that's the one thing I forgot. I forgot to get my card base going. You always think you're so prepared, and yet you still forget something. So this is just a typical 5.5 card cut, and then 8.5 you score it at 4 1/4. I like to use my handy dandy bone folder to just burnish the edges. It makes it a whole lot easier to get a straight edge when you're folding, although I'll be honest, there's sometimes I still don't. But that's our card base, pretty simple there. The other thing I already did pre-cut, this is 5 1/4 by 4-inch layer, and that's just going to go right here on our cardstock. And there's nothing in particularly difficult with attaching this. I like to use seal with Designer Series paper, not glue, because the glue, well, one, I think I just have a heavy hand, and so for me the glue doesn't always work, but for cardstock the multi-purpose glue works great. And then we just layer that in the middle there. I'm usually just doing a swag, making sure it's not too far on one side, and boom. That is one thing about adhesive. Once it's down, it's pretty much down, and especially Stampin' Up's adhesive. All right, so the next step really is to have some fun with our kissing technique. Now, I had made a few in the green and red just to kind of test, what does this look like? How do I want to do it? And I'll be honest, I found that when I stamped off, I liked it better, but you might like a more fuller image. I did kind of a combination of the two, so I'm going to show you how that works today using our basic gray and our real red. I've got my, what I call my classic tree image here. This to me just, you know, screams Christmas tree. And I'm gonna do 1, and then I'm gonna do 2. So that one kind of didn't come off very well. So let's test one over here. Maybe not so hard. How's that? Yep, a little better. Just to kind of show you how that works. So when you're doing the kissing technique, I'm going to show you this one too, the same way. Okay. I'm going to full on half. Okay. So you can kind of see how they, you know, obviously lose some of their ink. For some reason, when I seem to stamp it on the practice paper, I just don't do it as hard, so it leaves more ink. So you have to learn kind of how the touch of your particular stamp style might work, and so it takes a few practices with this particular technique. So I am going to do a full on to show you, and a full on of both of them. And this is why we call it the kissing technique. We essentially kiss the 2 stamps together. Kiss. There you go. And then you stamp the image. Of course, that's kind of the main one, which is going to be your full tree. And there you have it. I'm going to try a second one just to see how that looks. It's probably too much off. Yeah, it is. So I actually really like how that one turned out. So there's kind of your full on. Now we're going to do a different technique. We're going to try it the gray off, but the red on, and see how that looks. So again, kiss. You know, your images don't have to be exact. That's what I like about this, using these stamps, because they're pretty forgiving. So again, there you've got, again, I just love kind of that subtle Christmas tree background. And ultimately I want 3 for this card. So let's try a stamped off version of this and a stamped off version of this. And you'll mind you, I'm not really cleaning my stamps in between, just because I don't really think it's that necessary with this technique, but here we go. And there we have it. So lots of different designs here going on. And then we move on and have our lovely punch, which makes everything so easy. You don't have to fussy cut. You got your nice edges. Here's our pine tree punch. And again, I usually keep mine in a locked position. You just kind of pop it open. Line this bugger up. Yeah. I actually do, I forgot, I see I have the trunk. I do that after because I'm not sure that I would line it up correctly. Some of the stamps in this set do have a trunk, so you don't always. I think I'm going to skip that the lightest one because it's just a little too light for my taste. And you don't have to do the trunk either. I did decide to in this set. Oh, am I a little, I'll have to go a little off on that one, a little higher. We make things work, right? All right, and you've got this little stamp here. So it can be a little tricky. I usually try to test it a few times, and I've used it so many times. I really need to I think clean it better in between. That's one thing about cleaning stamps. I will say I'm not always very consistent with it. I'm gonna stamp off first because I don't really need it that dark on this one. See, pretty light. Oops. I feel like, you know, the trunk just doesn't need to really be, it's a nice way to practice too, to make sure that you're getting an even image. All right, there we have our 3 trees. We're actually going to adhere these trees with dimensionals. I love popping things up, and you know, I'll be honest, I think I'm going to have to use some minis on that. I am so glad they introduced mini dimensionals because I was trying to cut around things and ugh. So I like to just kind of use them right here at that top part. And I know a lot of people use their little take a pick tool, and I just use my fingers. I put it at the bottom as well, and I Stick another one in the middle, and you might want to stick more. I don't think it really needs it. They stick pretty well, these dimensionals. Whoop. Oh, I had one on the back. All right, so we look at our card, and I'm not going to stick them down for now. I'm just going to try to lay them out and say, how do I kind of want this looking? If I had to, you know, layer it over. I mean, this is where I struggled a little bit with, like, do I put the dark in the middle? Excuse me. Do I put the dark on the side? And so you just kind of play with it. Excuse me. But the other thing we have to get ready, because we want our sentiment to go over it. So I did already cut, this is a 1/2 inch by 4 inches. And I'm gonna do my Merry Christmas in red, classic, because it's so pretty. I already have it ready. I do like to use my grid paper to line these up so that they're straight. I do that a lot because I'm not always good about putting them on straight. And then like I say, I like to test it, right? Yeah. This red pad is always pretty good for ink. And this sucker is gonna go probably about, again, helps to line up with the grid paper. You actually can order grid paper. I think it's $12.50 for, like, I don't know, at least 100 sheets, if not more. Yep, that looks good. But you know what's nice is if it hadn't turned out, I got another side. Woohoo. All right, and we are also going to do dimensionals on this one. I shouldn't have put those away. Oops, they're over here. Just stick it on here first. I'll probably go like that. The other item I need actually is a ribbon. So when I first did this card, I'll be honest, I'm not a big ribbon girl, but some cards just say, ooh, it needs something. And I really didn't want to put any rhinestones on it. It just was a little too much since this already has the red kind of look to it. But anyway, when I'm not very good at tying, and especially if I have to wrap it around the whole thing. So I just do this loop thing on the end, and that way I'm also not wasting a huge amount. And then I just putz with it. Okay, I don't necessarily need a huge bow. So I like to make them a little on the smaller side. Use your nice scissors, or if you have snips, if you get a brand new one, just put a ribbon on it and label it for ribbon only, because paper is really dull scissors. So if you have a scissors just for ribbon, that's always helpful because then it'll cut well for you. Okay, and I might just play with this a little more when I put it on. But let's go ahead and assemble our card. All right, so I think, I really think just because these two are quite a bit lighter, I'm just gonna put these guys here. Let's just see how my Merry Christmas kind of pulls me there to the center. And I don't really want to go over too far, and that almost seems a little too high. Okay, there we go. I think the dark one's my favorite of the three, so I'm gonna kind of try to stick it on top. You could decide to do these symmetrical, same every time, or kind of like I did, where I just kind of notched her down a bit. You can notch it up a bit for that matter. Okay. And I kind of purposely knew that my trunk was going to be in the middle, so I wanted to leave room so that I wasn't overlapping it with this guy. And usually, again, not always straight with my things, but if I use my paper as my guide, I'm going to get it on there straight. And certainly last but not least, again, mini glue dots work best, I think, to adhere ribbon. And let me just kind of see what this guy looks like. I think he's still just a tad too big. I know, right? just clip those ends. Whoa. I guess I'm going to go this way this time. All right. And you may end up using one or two. It just really depends upon the ribbon you've got. Let's see, which side do I like better? I think I like this side best. But I think one will be fine with this guy. And I just kind of stuck it there. I think I will cut this just a tad more. And voila, we've got a Christmas card. I think these are, if I were to make a lot of them, because at Christmas time I tend to probably at a minimum make 10 cards of a similar design. This one actually would be pretty easy. When you're punching, it just click, 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 you're done. The kissing technique probably will develop as you make them, and then you're like, ooh, this is perfect, and then suddenly you're just making them all similar or very similar. But yet at the same time, no tree ever looks alike now, does it? So this was my kissing technique. I hope you liked it. Pretty easy. You can try it with any number of stamps. I think the key is that your main stamp, though, needs to have more of a solid image because you need that lots of ink. And then your other one is your design or your pattern or whatever it is. And then the two go together. There are, to be frank, lots of videos out there that share this technique, but I tend to make simple cards, dress them up a little bit here and there. And so I think this fits in right with my style. And I hope you enjoyed it. By the way, if you haven't gone to my blog today, there is going to be an amazing sale next week on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. There's a link to a flyer, and I am super excited because if you want to stock up on paper, ink, and dies, oh my gosh, the dies are 20% off. I have had a few on my list for a while, and I'm so going to get them this time. So check out my blog. It's JH Stampin' Studio at blogspot.com, and hope you enjoyed today. Thanks. Bye.